He spat in her face. The tobacco-stained saliva dripped down her cheek while the entire diner watched in frozen horror. Chief Deputy Marcus Holt laughed, believing he owned this town, owned these people, owned her. He didn't see the shadow moving beneath the corner booth. He didn't hear the low growl building like thunder before a storm. Seconds later, 90 pounds of military-trained fury exploded across the room. The German Shepherd's bark shattered the silence like a gunshot, and the man who thought himself untouchable learned what real fear tasted like. Before we begin, tell us where you're watching from in the comments below. And if this story touches your heart, please subscribe and stay with us until the very end. The coffee pot was almost empty again. Maya Sullivan noticed it the way she noticed everything in the Mountain View diner. The crack in Booth 4's vinyl seat, the flickering bulb above the register, the slow drip from the kitchen faucet that cost them $3 extra on the water bill last month. She noticed because noticing was surviving. 27 years old, and she felt 60. Her feet ached from the double shift she had worked yesterday. Her lower back screamed from the triple she would work tomorrow. But the real weight wasn't physical. It was the stack of medical bills sitting on her kitchen counter, her grandmother's insulin, Emma's school fees, the mortgage payment that was already 2 weeks late. Maya poured fresh coffee into the industrial pot, her hands moving with mechanical precision. "Order up," Earl shouted from the kitchen window. She grabbed the plates. Scrambled eggs for Mr. Patterson at the counter, pancakes for the Henderson family in booth 2. She smiled at each of them, the practiced smile of someone who couldn't afford to have a bad day. "Thank you, sweetheart," Mrs. Henderson said, touching Maya's wrist. "You look tired. You getting enough sleep?" "I'm fine, Mrs. Henderson. Just busy." It was a lie. Maya couldn't remember the last time she slept more than 4 hours. But customers didn't want to hear about her problems. They wanted their eggs hot, and their coffee fresh, and their waitress smiling. The bell above the door chimed. Maya looked up ready with her greeting, and the words died in her throat. He was not from Willow Falls. That much was obvious immediately. The town was small enough that everyone knew everyone, and this man was a stranger. He stood just inside the doorway, scanning the room with eyes that missed nothing. Military. Maya recognized the posture, the alertness, the way he catalogued every exit before taking a single step. He was in his early 30s, handsome in a weathered way, with short, dark hair and a jaw that looked like it had been carved from mountain stone. He wore a simple gray hoodie and jeans, but nothing about him was simple. Then she saw the dog. The German Shepherd was massive, easily 90 pounds of muscle and fur. His coat was black and tan, graying around the muzzle, and a jagged scar ran across his left ear. The dog moved with the same quiet alertness as his owner, eyes scanning, ears swiveling. "Anywhere?" the man asked. His voice was low, rough, like gravel in a stream. "Anywhere you like," Maya said. "Coffee. Black, thank you." He chose the corner booth. Of course he did. Back to the wall, clear sightline to both doors. The dog slid underneath the table, disappearing into the shadows, but Maya could feel those golden eyes tracking her. She brought the coffee. The man nodded once, a gesture of thanks that contained no warmth, but no hostility either. He was simply a man who had forgotten how to be soft. Maya went back to her rounds. The morning rush came and went. Mr. Patterson finished his eggs and left his usual $2 tip. The Hendersons paid with exact change and apologies. Old man Tucker came in for his daily cup of decaf, complaining about his arthritis, and the government in equal measure. Maya worked, poured coffee, cleared plates, calculated tips that would never be enough. The stranger in the corner booth ordered nothing else, but he never asked for the check either. He just sat there nursing his coffee, watching the world through the window like a man who had seen too much of it. At 11:15, the door opened again. Maya felt the temperature drop before she saw who it was. Every conversation in the diner stuttered and died. Forks stopped moving. Mr. Tucker suddenly became very interested in his coffee cup. Chief Deputy Marcus Holt walked in like he owned the place, because in every way that mattered, he did. Holt was 53 years old and built like a man who had been powerful once, but had let that power curdle into fat. His uniform strained against his belly, and his face was permanently flushed, the color of raw meat. The actual sheriff of Willow Falls was 82 and bedridden. Holt had been running things for the past 5 years, and he ran them exactly the way he wanted. 2 younger deputies flanked him, Carter and Webb, both in their 20s, both chosen for their loyalty rather than their competence, both wearing the same smirk as their boss. "Morning, Maya," Holt said, walking straight to the counter. He didn't sit on a stool. He stood forcing her to look up at him. "Coffee, fresh pot, none of that hour-old garbage." "Good morning, Chief Deputy." Maya kept her voice neutral. "Coming right up?" She started a fresh pot, her hands steady through sheer force of will. Behind her, she could feel Holt's eyes on her back. "Haven't seen your signature on those papers yet," Holt said, loud enough for the whole diner to hear. Maya's stomach clenched. "I told you, Chief Deputy, the property isn't for sale." "Property," Holt snorted. "You mean that shack your grandmother's dying in, that worthless patch of dirt your daddy left behind?" Maya turned around, coffee pot in hand. "It's our home." "It's in the way." Holt leaned forward, his breath washing over her. Tobacco and peppermint, a smell that would haunt her nightmares. "The county's got development plans. Good plans. Plans that'll bring jobs to this town. And your little homestead is sitting right in the middle of the access road. Then move the road." "Don't get smart with me, girl." Maya poured his coffee, willing her hands not to shake. "That's $3. Holt didn't reach for his wallet. He never paid. No one ever made him. "Your grandmother's insulin is expensive," Holt said, stirring his coffee slowly. $100 a vial, isn't it? And your sister Emma, sweet kid. Heard she's been having trouble at school. Kids can be cruel when they find out your family can't pay the bills. Leave Emma out of this." "I'm trying to help you, Maya." Holt's voice dripped with false concern. "Sell the land. Pay off the debts. Take your grandmother somewhere with real doctors. It's the smart play." "No." The word hung in the air. Holt's face darkened. The flush deepened from red to purple. Behind him, Carter and Webb shifted hands, dropping to their belts. "What did you say to me?" "I said no." Maya's voice was stronger now, fueled by something beyond fear. "That land belonged to my father. It belongs to my grandmother. It belongs to Emma. And it belongs to me. It's not for sale. Not to you, not to the county, not to anyone." Holt set down his coffee cup with a deliberate click. "You stupid little girl," he said softly. "You think you have a choice. You think this is a negotiation. I've broken bigger people than you. I've crushed families with more money, more power, more friends. You're nothing. You're a waitress in a dying diner in a dying town, and you're telling me no." "Yes." Holt stood up slowly. Maya took an involuntary step back, her spine pressing against the coffee station. The entire diner was frozen watching, but no one moved to help. No one ever did. Holt had made sure of that years ago. "Your father," Holt said, leaning in close, "died in that mine because he didn't know when to keep his mouth shut. And look at you. Same stupid defiance, same stupid pride. It's genetic, I guess." Maya's eyes filled with tears, but she refused to let them fall. "You have until Friday," Holt continued. "Sign the papers, or I'll make sure your grandmother's prescriptions get lost in the system. I'll make sure Emma gets a visit from Child Protective Services. I'll make sure every inspector in the county finds something wrong with this diner. Your choice." He picked up his coffee cup, brought it to his lips, and took a long, deliberate sip. Then he spat. Not the coffee. Tobacco. A thick brown glob of tobacco-stained saliva that hit Maya directly in the face. It landed on her cheek, dripped down toward her chin, warm and vile. "That's what I think of your answer." Holt laughed. Maya stood frozen. The humiliation was absolute. She could feel every eye in the diner on her, could feel the tobacco spit sliding down her skin, could feel something inside her cracking. Holt laughed again, turning to his deputies, who joined in with ugly snickers. And then the world exploded. The bark came first. It was not a dog's bark. It was a thunderclap. A declaration of war, a sound that reached into the primitive part of every human brain and screamed predator. 90 pounds of military-trained German shepherd launched from beneath the corner booth like a guided missile. Thor didn't attack. He was too disciplined for that. But he positioned himself between Maya and Holt with a speed that defied physics, his body a wall of fur and muscle, and barely contained violence. His lips peeled back, revealing teeth that could crush bone. His hackles rose into a ridge of black fur. His growl was a physical thing vibrating through the floorboards, shaking the coffee cups on the counter. Deputy Carter stumbled backward into a table. Deputy Webb let out a sound that was embarrassingly close to a scream. And Chief Deputy Marcus Holt, the most powerful man in Willow Falls, went pale. "What the hell?" Holt's hand dropped to his holster. "I wouldn't." The voice came from behind Thor. Calm. Cold. Carrying the weight of absolute certainty. Cole Mitchell stepped forward, moving around his dog, with the fluid grace of a man who had spent his life in the company of violence. He didn't look at the deputies. He didn't acknowledge the terrified diners. His eyes were locked on Holt with an intensity that made the chief deputy's hand freeze halfway to his weapon. "Thor, hold." The dog's growl subsided to a low rumble, but his position didn't change. His eyes never left Holt's throat. Cole reached into his pocket. Slowly, deliberately, he pulled out a clean napkin and turned to Maya. "May I?" Maya nodded, unable to speak. Cole gently wiped the tobacco from her face. His touch was surprisingly tender, a strange contrast to the lethality he radiated. When her skin was clean, he folded the napkin and tucked it into his pocket. Then he turned back to Holt. "You have 5 seconds to apologize to her." Holt sputtered. "Do you know who I am? I'm the chief deputy of 4 seconds. I will arrest you for threatening an officer. 3 seconds. That dog attacked me. I have every right to 2. The word was barely a whisper, but it filled the room. Cole didn't move. He didn't need to. The threat was implicit, total, and absolutely credible. Holt looked at the dog. He looked at the man. He looked at his deputies, who were clearly not going to risk their lives for his ego. "Sorry," Holt muttered. "Louder. And look at her." Holt's face contorted with rage, but he turned to Maya. "Sorry," Cole nodded once. "Now leave." "You don't give me orders, Thor." The dog's growl spiked. Holt stumbled backward, nearly tripping over Webb. "This isn't over," Holt snarled, backing toward the door. "You don't know what you just started, soldier boy. This is my town, and you just made yourself the biggest target in it." He shoved through the door, his deputies scrambling after him. The silence in the diner was absolute. Cole turned to Maya. "Are you all right?" Maya was shaking. The adrenaline, the humiliation, the shock of someone actually standing up for her, it all crashed together, and she couldn't control the trembling. Yes, I think so." Cole reached down and touched Thor's head. The dog immediately relaxed his tail, giving a single wag. The killer was gone. In his place was just an old dog with a scarred ear and kind eyes. "He won't let it go," Maya whispered. "You don't know him. He destroys people. He destroyed my father." Cole met her gaze. His eyes were blue and deep, and carried the weight of 1,000 battles. "I've dealt with men like him before," Cole said quietly. "Bullies with badges, tyrants with territory. They're all the same. They only understand one language." "What language?" Cole looked toward the door where Holt had disappeared. "Consequences." He returned to his corner booth. Thor followed, sliding back under the table. Cole sat down, picked up his coffee cup like nothing had happened, and took a sip. Maya stood behind the counter, her heart still racing, her mind still reeling. Around her, the diner slowly came back to life. Conversations resumed in whispers. Forks began moving again. But something had changed. Old Man Tucker was sitting up straighter than he had in years. The Henderson family was looking at the stranger with something like hope. Even Earl had come out of the kitchen, his grease-stained apron still on, staring at the corner booth with wonder. For the first time in 5 years, someone had stood up to Marcus Holt. For the first time in 5 years, someone had made him back down. Maya grabbed the coffee pot and walked to the corner booth. "Refill." Cole nodded. As she poured, her eyes drifted to Thor, who was watching her with an expression that seemed almost grateful. "What's his name?" she asked. "Thor. Like the god, like the dog who saved my life 6 times in Afghanistan." Cole's voice softened slightly. "He's retired now. We both are." "Navy." Cole looked up, surprised. "That obvious." "My father served. Marines, I know the look." Something shifted in Cole's expression. A wall came down just slightly. "I'm sorry about what he said, about your father." Maya's throat tightened. "It was 6 years ago, mining accident. At least that's what the official report said." "You don't believe it?" It wasn't a question. Maya glanced around the diner, making sure no one was listening. "My father was the union representative. He was investigating safety violations. The week before he died, he told me he found something. Something big. Something that involved Holt and some people in Charleston. And then he died. And then the investigation died with him. The mine closed. The town fell apart. And Holt became the most powerful man in the county." Cole was quiet for a long moment. "What kind of something?" he finally asked. Before Maya could answer, the front door burst open. A teenage girl ran in, breathless and terrified. She was 14 with the same brown hair as Maya and the same stubborn chin. "Maya," Emma gasped. "Maya, they took her. They took Grandma's medicine." Maya's blood ran cold. "What? Who?" "The pharmacy. I went to pick up her insulin like you asked, and Mr. Harris said the prescription was canceled. He said there was a problem with the insurance, but I know we paid Maya. I know we did." Emma was crying, now her words tumbling over each other. Maya gripped her sister's shoulders. "Slow down. Tell me exactly what happened." "Mr. Harris said Chief Deputy Holt came by this morning. Said there was an audit. Said all prescriptions had to be re-verified." But Grandma needs her shot tonight, Maya. She needs it, or she'll— I know. Maya's voice was steady, but her hands were shaking. I know, it's okay. We'll figure it out. But she didn't know how to figure it out. The insulin cost $100 a vial without insurance. She had $43 in her checking account and $17 in tips in her apron pocket. It had been less than 30 minutes since Holt left the diner. He was already striking back. Cole stood up from his booth. Thor emerged from beneath the table, instantly alert. How much? Cole asked. What? The insulin. How much does she need? Maya shook her head. I can't let you— How much? $100. But it's not just the money. Holt controls the pharmacy. He controls Mr. Harris. Even if I had the cash, they won't fill the prescription. Cole reached into his wallet and pulled out 5 $20 bills. He pressed them into Emma's hand. There's a pharmacy in Morgantown, 30 miles east. They won't know Holt's name and they won't care. Emma looked at the money, then at her sister, then at the stranger. Who are you? She whispered. Cole knelt down so he was eye level with the girl. His face softened in a way Maya hadn't seen before. I'm just a guy with a dog, he said, and a truck, and 30 miles worth of gas. He looked up at Maya. Do you have the prescription paperwork? Maya nodded, unable to speak. Then let's go get your grandmother her medicine. An hour later, they were back. The pharmacy in Morgantown had filled the prescription without questions. The drive had been quiet, but not uncomfortable. Emma had spent most of it in the back seat with Thor, who had rested his head in her lap like he'd known her all his life. Now they stood outside Maya's house. It was a small place, weathered by mountain winters and years of neglect. But flowers grew in window boxes, and a wind chime sang softly on the porch. Thank you, Maya said. I don't know how to— You don't have to. Cole handed her the insulin bag. Just take care of your grandmother. He turned to leave. Wait. Maya stepped forward. Where are you staying? Cole shrugged. Truck's comfortable enough. That's ridiculous. It's supposed to drop below freezing tonight. Maya hesitated, then made a decision. We have a barn. It's not much, but it's warm and dry. There's a cot in the back that my father used to use for hunting trips. Cole started to refuse. Please, Maya said. You helped us. Let us help you. Just for tonight. Thor whined softly, pressing his nose against Cole's hand. Cole looked at his dog, then at the house, then at Maya. One night, he said finally. Maya smiled. It was the first real smile she'd managed in weeks. One night. But both of them knew in the way that people always know that it wouldn't be just one night. Something had started today. Something that would change everything. Inside the house, Emma was already showing her grandmother the insulin, her voice bright with relief. On the porch, Thor sat at attention, watching the road like a sentinel. And in the darkness beyond the tree line, parked on a gravel turnout with his lights off, Chief Deputy Marcus Holt watched the house through binoculars. He wrote down the license plate of the stranger's truck. He pulled out his phone. Get me everything on this number, he said to the person on the other end. Military, service record, family, weaknesses. I want to know what makes him tick. He lowered the binoculars, his eyes fixed on the farmhouse. Nobody humiliates me in my own town, he whispered. Nobody. The war had begun. The call came at 6 in the morning. Maya was already awake, had been awake for hours, lying in bed and staring at the ceiling while her mind replayed the confrontation in the diner over and over. The phone's ring cut through the silence like a blade. Hello? Miss Sullivan. The voice was cold official. This is the Willow Falls Power Authority. I'm calling to inform you that your service has been disconnected due to non-payment. Maya sat up, her heart already racing. That's impossible. I paid the bill last week. I have the receipt. Our records show a balance of $437. $400, that's 3 months of charges I paid every month. Check your system again. Ma'am, I'm just reading what's in front of me. If you'd like to dispute the charges, you can come to our office during business hours and file a formal complaint. Until then, service remains suspended. The line went dead. Maya threw off her blankets and ran to the kitchen. She flipped the light switch. Nothing. She tried the stove. Dead. She opened the refrigerator, and the warmth that greeted her confirmed what she already knew. Holt wasn't waiting until Friday. He was destroying her now. Maya. Emma appeared in the doorway, rubbing her eyes. Why is it so dark? Power's out, sweetie. Just a glitch. Go check on Grandma, okay? Emma nodded and shuffled down the hall. Maya leaned against the counter, pressing her palms against her eyes, fighting the urge to scream. The back door opened. She spun around her hand, grabbing for the nearest weapon, a cast-iron skillet, but it was Cole. He stood in the doorway with Thor at his side, both of them alert and watchful. Power's cut, Cole said. It wasn't a question. How did you know? Watched a utility truck come up the road at 5:30. No reason for a truck at that hour unless someone made a call. He stepped inside, closing the door behind him. Water still work? Maya tried the faucet. A sputter, then nothing. Not anymore, she whispered. Cole's jaw tightened. He's moving fast, faster than I expected. What do? I can't fight the power company. I can't fight the water authority. He controls everything. You don't fight the system. You expose it. Cole pulled out his phone. I made some calls last night. Old contacts. There's a federal agent I served with DEA. He's been tracking a prescription drug operation in this region for months. The trail kept going cold. Maya's breath caught. You think Holt's involved? I think your father found the same thing 6 years ago. And I think that's why he died. The words hung in the air between them. My father, Maya said slowly, told me he found shipping manifests that didn't match the inventory. Medical supplies coming into the county that never reached the clinics. He was going to take it to the state police. Did he tell anyone else? Just my mother. And she died 2 years before him. Cancer. Cole nodded, processing. Then Holt knew. Someone tipped him off. Who else had access to your father's investigation? Maya thought back, her mind reaching through years of grief and suppressed memory. There was a meeting, the night before the accident. My father met with someone at the mine. He wouldn't tell me who, but he came home scared. He said he'd made a mistake, trusting the wrong person. Do you have his files? Notes, anything? In the attic. I couldn't bring myself to throw them away, but I never looked at them either. It hurt too much. Cole was already moving toward the hallway. Show me. They climbed into the cramped attic space, dust swirling in the beam of Cole's flashlight. Boxes were stacked against the rafters, labeled in her father's neat handwriting. Maya found the one marked Work and pulled it down. Inside were folders, notebooks, and a single USB drive. Cole picked up the drive. Do you have a laptop? Something with battery. Emma has one for school. 20 minutes later, they were huddled around the laptop in the barn, the only place with enough light from the windows. Emma had brought her grandmother her morning medication, and now the old woman was resting while Emma stood guard in the kitchen watching the road. The USB drive contained dozens of files. Shipping manifests, inventory lists, photographs of containers with Department of Veterans Affairs markings. My God, Maya breathed. He was stealing from veterans. Not just stealing, Cole pointed to a column of numbers. Look at the quantities. This isn't a small operation. Morphine, oxycodone, surgical equipment. Someone's been intercepting VA shipments for years. And routing them where... Cole opened another file. A map of the county with red dots marking locations. Most of them clustered around one area, the abandoned mine. Your father figured it out, Cole said quietly. He knew the mine wasn't just closed. It was being used as a distribution center, and he was about to expose the whole thing. Maya's hands were shaking. So they killed him. They made it look like an accident and they killed him. I'm sorry. Don't be sorry. Maya's voice hardened. Be ready, because I'm going to make them pay for this. Every single one of them. Cole looked at her, saw the fire burning behind her eyes, and for the first time since he'd arrived in Willow Falls, he felt something other than emptiness. He felt purpose. Then we do this right, he said. We gather evidence. We document everything. And when the feds come, we hand them a case so airtight that not even Holt's connections can save him. How long? My contact can have a team here in 48 hours. Maybe less if I can get him proof of the VA theft. 48 hours. Maya laughed bitterly. Holt will have destroyed us by then. Not if we destroy him first. The sound of tires on gravel made them both freeze. Thor was on his feet instantly, a low growl building in his chest. Stay here, Cole ordered. He moved to the barn door and peered through the gap. A sheriff's cruiser had pulled into the driveway. Deputy Carter stepped out, adjusting his belt with exaggerated importance. Cole slipped back to Maya. One deputy, Carter. He's here to intimidate, not arrest. How do you know? Because if Holt wanted you arrested, he'd send more than one. Maya squared her shoulders. Then let's not give him the satisfaction. She walked out of the barn before Cole could stop her. Carter was already on the porch, pounding on the front door. He spun when he heard Maya's footsteps. Miss Sullivan? There you are. Deputy Carter, what can I do for you? Carter pulled a folded paper from his pocket. Got a complaint here. Noise violation. Neighbors say they heard shouting from this property last night. We don't have neighbors for half a mile. That's what the complaint says. Carter smiled, showing too many teeth. I'm going to need to come inside and investigate. Do you have a warrant? The smile faltered. Don't need one if I have probable cause. A fabricated noise complaint isn't probable cause. It's harassment. Maya stepped closer, and something in her posture made Carter take a step back. My father was a Marine deputy. He taught me the Constitution before I learned to read. You want inside my house? Get a warrant. Until then, get off my property. Carter's face reddened. You think you're smart? You think that soldier boy in the barn is going to protect you forever? Chief Deputy Holt has friends you can't even imagine. State police, judges, people who can make your whole family disappear. Is that a threat, Deputy? It's a promise. The barn door creaked open. Cole stepped out, Thor at his side. He didn't say anything. He didn't need to. His presence alone was enough to drain the color from Carter's face. I'll be back, Carter snarled. With a warrant, with backup. And when I am your friend, better be gone or we'll find something to charge him with too. He climbed into his cruiser and peeled out spraying gravel. Maya was trembling, but not from fear, from rage. He's going to come back, she said. They're going to keep coming. Let them. Cole watched the cruiser disappear down the road. Every time they come, they make mistakes. Every mistake is evidence, and evidence is what puts men like Holt in prison. And if they come before we have enough evidence... Cole looked down at Thor. The dog looked back, calm and ready. Then we improvise. That night, Cole couldn't sleep. He lay on the cot in the barn, staring at the darkness, while Thor snored softly at his feet. The nightmares were waiting for him, he knew. They always were. faces of men he couldn't save. The sound of an explosion that had taken his team. The feeling of sand in his lungs and blood on his hands. Thor whimpered in his sleep, and Cole reached down to stroke the dog's fur. "I know, buddy. Me too." He must have drifted off eventually, because suddenly he was back in the desert. The convoy was moving. Then the flash. Then the screaming. Then the silence that was worse than any scream. "Cole!" He jerked awake, hand reaching for a weapon that wasn't there. Maya stood in the doorway of the barn, backlit by moonlight. She held a blanket around her shoulders. "You were yelling," she said softly. "I could hear you from the house." Cole sat up, running his hands through his hair. His shirt was soaked with sweat. "Sorry. I didn't mean to wake you." "I wasn't sleeping either." Maya stepped inside, closing the door behind her. "Emma and Grandma are out, but I just lie there, thinking. About your father. About everything. About how small my life has gotten. About how scared I've been for so long that I forgot what it felt like to fight back." She sat on a hay bale across from him. "You changed that. Yesterday in the diner. You reminded me what courage looks like." Cole shook his head. "That wasn't courage. That was reflex. I've spent 15 years training to respond to threats. It's not something I choose. It just happens." "Then what is courage?" Cole was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice was rough. "Courage is what you did. Standing up to a man who could destroy your life. Saying no when everything in you wanted to say yes just to make the pain stop. That's courage, Maya. What I do is just violence with better aim." Maya studied him in the darkness. "You don't see yourself clearly. Neither do you." Thor lifted his head, ears swiveling toward the door. A low growl rumbled in his chest. Cole was on his feet instantly. "Someone's here." He moved to the window, peering through a gap in the boards. 2 figures were moving through the trees at the edge of the property. They were dressed in dark clothes, carrying what looked like bottles. "Molotovs," Cole breathed. "They're going to burn us out." Maya's face went white. "Emma, Grandma. Get them out the back, now. Go to the church on Main Street. Pastor Williams will take you in." "What about you? I'll handle this." "Cole, go!" Maya ran. Cole heard the back door of the house open and close, heard voices, heard the shuffle of feet. Then silence. He turned to Thor. "Work mode." The dog's demeanor changed instantly. The sleepy pet vanished, replaced by 90 pounds of trained killer. Cole slipped out the side door of the barn, moving low through the darkness. The 2 figures were still approaching their confidence, suggesting they expected no resistance. They had no idea what was waiting for them. Cole circled around using the tree line for cover. He came up behind the first man just as the figure was raising his lighter to the rag stuffed in his bottle. 1 strike to the back of the neck. The man crumpled. The second figure spun eyes wide and opened his mouth to shout. Thor hit him like a freight train. Not biting, not mauling, just 100 pounds of momentum driving him to the ground and pinning him there. Cole was on him before he could recover, zip-tying his hands behind his back. "Who sent you?" The man whimpered. "Please, man, call off the dog. Who sent you?" "Holt." It was Holt. He said just scare them. That's all, just scare them. With fire, you were going to burn down a house with an old woman inside. "I didn't know, I swear I didn't." Cole grabbed the man's collar, lifting him until they were face to face. "You go back to Holt. You tell him what happened here. You tell him that if he sends anyone else, they won't walk away. Do you understand me?" Yes, I understand." Cole dropped him. "Run." The man scrambled to his feet and fled into the darkness, leaving his unconscious partner behind. Cole looked at the man on the ground. Young, barely 20. probably desperate for money, willing to do anything for a few $100s. He zip-tied the unconscious man to a tree and pulled out his phone. "Mike, it's Carter. I need that team moved up. We don't have 48 hours. The next morning, Maya returned to find Cole sitting on the porch with Thor. "They're gone," she asked. "They won't be back. Not those two, anyway." Maya sat beside him, exhaustion etched into every line of her face. "Pastor Williams called the state police. They're sending someone to take a report. Holt will bury it. I know. But at least there's a record now. Something official." Cole nodded. "My contact is expediting the team. They'll be here by tomorrow night. But I need to get inside that mine before then. I need to see what we're dealing with. It's abandoned, fenced off. Holt has guards patrolling." "Guards aren't a problem." Cole looked at her. "But I need you to do something while I'm gone." "What? Keep Emma close. Don't let her out of your sight." Maya's blood ran cold. "You think he'd go after her? He already went after your grandmother's medicine. He cut your power. He sent men to burn your house. A man like Holt doesn't have limits. He has targets." Cole's voice hardened. "And your sister is the easiest way to hurt you." Maya's hands curled into fists. "If he touches her, he won't. Not if we move fast enough." That afternoon, Cole approached the abandoned mine from the North Ridge. The facility was larger than he expected. Multiple buildings, a main shaft entrance, and rows of storage containers that looked far too new for a mine that had been closed for years. He counted 4 guards. Amateur patrol patterns. No dogs. No cameras that he could see. Getting in would be easy. What he found inside would change everything. Cole waited until dark, then made his move. He slipped through the perimeter fence like a ghost, Thor padding silently beside him. The guards were clustered near the main entrance, sharing cigarettes and complaints about the cold. Cole bypassed them entirely, entering through a ventilation shaft on the east side of the property. The shaft led to a series of tunnels that should have been empty. Instead, they were filled with crates. Hundreds of them. Each one marked with the Department of Veterans Affairs seal. Cole opened the nearest crate. Morphine, oxycodone, fentanyl. Enough controlled substances to supply a small hospital for a year. He photographed everything. Every crate. Every label. Every shipping manifest tacked to the walls. Then he heard the voices. "Shipment coming in Thursday. Biggest one yet." Cole froze, pressing himself against the tunnel wall. 2 men walked past the junction ahead, their flashlights cutting through the darkness. "Holt wants it moved fast. Says there's heat coming." "What kind of heat?" "Feds, maybe. Some soldier's been asking questions. The one that embarrassed him at the diner. So deal with him." "That's the plan. But first, insurance." "What do you mean?" "The waitress has a sister, 14 years old. Holt figures if we have her, the soldier backs off." Cole's blood turned to ice. "When?" "Tomorrow, after school. Make it look like she ran away." The men's voices faded as they moved deeper into the tunnels. Cole didn't wait. He was already moving Thor at his heels, racing back through the ventilation shaft with a single thought burning in his mind. They were going after Emma. And he had less than 24 hours to stop them. Cole drove through the night with one hand on the wheel and his phone pressed to his ear. "Maya, listen to me carefully. Don't let Emma out of your sight tomorrow. Not for school. Not for anything." "What happened? What did you find?" "They're planning to take her. Tomorrow afternoon, after school." The silence on the other end of the line was worse than any scream. "Maya, I'm here." Her voice was steel wrapped in ice. "What do we do?" "Keep her home. Stay at the church if you have to. I'm calling my federal contact now. We're moving up the timeline." "Cole, if they get her." "They won't. I promise you, Maya. They won't." He hung up and immediately dialed Mike Rivera's secure line. "Carter, do you know what time it is?" "They're trafficking kids, Mike. Not just drugs. Kids. I heard them planning to grab a 14-year-old girl tomorrow." The exhaustion vanished from Rivera's voice. "Are you certain?" "I was inside the mine. I heard them talking. Thursday shipment, they called it. The biggest one yet. And they're using the girl as insurance to keep me from interfering." "That changes everything. I can have a team there by tomorrow night, but if they're moving that fast, tomorrow night is too late. I need you there by noon." "Cole, that's impossible. The logistics alone—" "Figure it out, Mike. There are children involved. Do you understand what I'm telling you? This isn't just about stolen drugs anymore. This is human trafficking. This is kids disappearing and never being seen again." Rivera was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice was different, harder. "I'll make some calls. Noon tomorrow. But Cole, you need to stay put until we arrive. Do not engage. If you go in alone and something goes wrong, then make sure nothing goes wrong." Cole hung up and pressed the accelerator harder. He made it back to the farmhouse just before dawn. Maya was waiting on the porch, a shotgun across her lap that had probably belonged to her father. Thor bounded out of the truck and went straight to her, pressing his body against her legs. "She's inside," Maya said. "Sleeping. I haven't told her yet." "Don't. Not until we have to." "When will that be?" Cole sat beside her on the porch steps. The sky was turning gray at the edges, the first hint of a sunrise that felt like a countdown. "Federal team arrives at noon. Until then, we stay here. We stay together. We don't give them any opportunities. And if they come before noon—" Cole looked at her, and something in his eyes made Maya's breath catch. "Then I do what I was trained to do." The morning passed in tense silence. Emma knew something was wrong. She could see it in her sister's face, in the way the stranger kept checking the windows and how Thor paced back and forth like a caged predator. "Why can't I go to school?" she demanded at breakfast. "I have a math test." "You're sick," Maya said. "Stomach bug." "I feel fine." "You don't look fine. Stay home today. Just today." Emma crossed her arms. "This is about Holt, isn't it? This is about what happened at the diner." Maya's hands stilled on the dish she was washing. "Emma, I'm not stupid, Maya. I know things are bad. I know he's been threatening you. Everyone at school talks about it. They say his people are watching our house." Cole stepped forward. "Who says that? Everyone, kids whose parents work for him. They laugh about it. Say we're going to lose everything." Emma's voice cracked. "Is that true? Are we going to lose the house?" Maya dried her hands and knelt in front of her sister. "No, we're not losing anything. But I need you to trust me today, okay? I need you to stay inside, stay away from the windows, and do exactly what Cole tells you. Can you do that?" Emma looked at Cole, then at Thor, then back at her sister. "Is he going to hurt us?" "Not if I can help it," Cole said quietly. Emma nodded slowly. "Okay, I trust you." The words hit Cole harder than he expected. He turned away, busying himself with checking the locks, but Maya saw the way his jaw tightened. At 10 o'clock, the phone rang. Maya answered it, her face going pale within seconds. "What? No, that's impossible. She's been home all morning." Cole was at her side instantly. "What is it?" Maya covered the receiver. "The school. They're saying Emma never showed up. They're saying she was marked absent, and they're required to report truancies to the sheriff's office. She's right here. She never left." "I know that. But they're saying—" Maya's eyes went wide. "They're creating a record. A paper trail. If she goes missing, they'll say she was already gone. That she ran away." Cole grabbed the phone from her hand. "This is Cole Mitchell. Who am I speaking with?" Sir, this is Principal Henderson. I'm simply following protocol. Your protocol is being manipulated. Emma Sullivan is standing in front of me right now. She never left her home. If anyone from the sheriff's office attempts to file a missing persons report, it will be fraudulent, and I will personally ensure that the FBI investigates everyone involved. Do you understand me? Silence on the line. I'm just doing my job, Henderson said weakly. Then do it better. Cole hung up and turned to Maya. They're setting the stage, making it look like she disappeared on her own. We need to move. Where? Somewhere they can't find us. Somewhere with witnesses. The church. They loaded into Cole's truck within minutes. Emma clutched Thor's collar, the dog pressed against her side. Maya rode shotgun, her father's shotgun, across her lap. The drive to town should have taken 10 minutes. They didn't make it 5. The roadblock appeared around a blind curve. 2 sheriff's cruisers' lights flashing parked nose to nose across the narrow mountain road. Deputy Carter stood in front of them, hand resting on his holster. Cole slammed on the brakes. "Stay in the truck," he said quietly. "No matter what happens." He stepped out, keeping his hands visible. "Morning, Deputy." Carter smirked. "Mr. Mitchell? Interesting timing. We were just about to come looking for you." "Is that so? Got a report of a disturbance at the Sullivan property. Possible domestic situation. We're going to need to speak with the occupants of your vehicle." "There's no disturbance. We're on our way to church." "Church?" Carter laughed. "That's funny. Because the way I see it, you've got a minor in that vehicle who was reported missing from school this morning. Protocol says we need to verify her welfare." "Her welfare is fine. She's with her legal guardian." "Maya Sullivan isn't her legal guardian. Grandmother is. And the grandmother isn't in that truck, is she?" Cole felt the trap closing around them. "Her grandmother is at the house. She has a medical condition." "Then Miss Sullivan should be there taking care of her, shouldn't she? Not running off in the middle of a crisis." Carter took a step forward. "Here's what's going to happen. You're going to get back in that truck. You're going to drive away. And Miss Sullivan and her sister are going to come with us for a friendly conversation at the station." "That's not going to happen." "I don't think you understand, soldier boy. This isn't a request." The second cruiser's door opened. Deputy Webb stepped out, along with 2 men Cole didn't recognize. They weren't wearing uniforms. They were wearing the look of men who did things that couldn't be traced back to badges. 4 against 1. No weapons. Maya and Emma trapped in the truck behind him. The odds were bad. Cole had faced worse. "Emma," he said loudly, not taking his eyes off the men in front of him. "When I say run, you take Thor and you go into the woods. You find Pastor Williams, you don't stop for anything." "Cole," Maya's voice was terrified. "Trust me." Carter drew his weapon. "Nobody's running anywhere." Thor's growl filled the air. The dog had squeezed out of the truck's window and now stood beside Cole. Hackle's raised teeth bared. "Call off the dog," Carter ordered, his voice cracking slightly. "I don't think I will." "I'll shoot it. You'll try." Cole's voice was ice. "But here's the thing about military working dogs, Deputy. They're trained to respond to gunfire. The sound of your shot will be the last thing you hear before 90 pounds of teeth and muscle takes out your throat." Carter's hand was shaking now. "This doesn't have to go bad," Cole continued. "You let us pass. You tell Holt you couldn't find us. Nobody gets hurt." "You don't get it." Carter's voice was desperate. "If I let you go, Holt will kill me. He'll kill my family. You think you're the only one he's threatened?" Something shifted in Cole's expression. "Then help us stop him." "It's too late for that." "It's never too late." The moment stretched like wire about to snap. Then Carter's radio crackled. "Carter status report. Do you have them?" Carter raised the radio slowly. His eyes met Cole's. Negative. Road was clear. They must have taken another route. Cole didn't move. Didn't breathe. Holt's voice exploded through the radio. What do you mean, clear? I gave you their location. They weren't here, sir. I'm heading back to base. You incompetent piece of... Carter turned off the radio. His hand dropped from his weapon. Go, he whispered. Take the old logging road behind Miller's farm. It comes out on the highway past the county line. Get her out of here. Why? Carter's eyes were wet. Because I have a daughter, too. He turned and walked back to his cruiser, waving the other men to stand down. Cole watched as the cruisers backed up, clearing the road. He got back in the truck. What happened? Maya gasped. He let us go. Why? Cole started the engine. Because sometimes people surprise you. He floored it, tearing past the cruisers and onto the narrow road that Carter had indicated. They drove for 20 minutes before Cole's phone rang. It was Pastor Williams. Cole, there's been an incident. What kind of incident? Men came to the church, looking for Maya. They had guns. Cole's grip tightened on the wheel. Are you safe? I hid in the basement. They didn't find me, but they know you're coming here. They'll be watching the roads. We're not coming to the church anymore. Where will you go? Cole thought fast. The mine. It's the last place they'll expect us. The mine Cole that's insane. That's where they're operating from. Exactly. They're expecting us to run. They're not expecting us to attack. Maya grabbed his arm. Cole, you can't be serious. Emma, we'll be safest where they can't find her, and the only place they won't look is the one place they think they control. He looked at her. Trust me. Maya's face was a war between fear and faith. I trust you, she finally said. They drove toward the mine. Cole parked the truck a mile out, hidden in a ravine behind a wall of deadfall. He gathered his gear while Maya tried to keep Emma calm. You're going to stay here with your sister, Cole said to Maya. I'm going in alone. No, Maya, I'm coming with you. It's too dangerous. She's my sister. Maya's eyes blazed. If you think I'm going to sit in a truck while you risk your life for my family, you don't know me at all. Cole studied her face, saw the determination there, recognized it. Fine, but Emma stays here. Thor guards her. Maya knelt beside her sister. I need you to be brave. Can you do that? Emma was crying, but she nodded. Come back, please. I promise. Thor positioned himself in front of the truck, ears forward, ready. Cole and Maya moved into the trees. They approached the mine from the eastern ridge, the same ventilation shaft Cole had used before. The sun was setting, casting long shadows across the industrial wasteland. How many guards? Maya whispered. Last night there were 4. Tonight probably more. What's the plan? Get in, find the evidence, get out. The feds arrive in... Cole checked his watch. 2 hours. We just need to survive until then. They crawled through the ventilation shaft, emerging into the same tunnel Cole had explored before. But something was different now. There were voices. Many voices. And not all of them were men. Cole's blood ran cold. He crept forward, Maya close behind, until they reached a junction that overlooked a large chamber. What he saw stopped his heart. There were crates everywhere, just like before. But in the center of the chamber, sitting on the cold concrete floor, were a dozen children. Teenagers mostly. Boys and girls, hands bound, eyes terrified. And standing among them, holding a clipboard like she was conducting inventory, was a woman in a nurse's uniform. 14 units ready for transport, the woman said into a radio. Thursday shipment confirmed. Units. She was calling them units. Cole felt Maya's hand grip his arm so hard her nails drew blood. Oh my God, she breathed. "Oh my God, those are kids." "Human trafficking," Cole whispered. "This is bigger than drugs. This is everything. We have to help them." "We will. But first we need to—" A hand clamped over Maya's mouth from behind. She screamed into the palm, thrashing, but the arms holding her were too strong. Cole spun, ready to fight, but 3 men emerged from the shadows behind them. He hadn't heard them. He hadn't seen them. They had been waiting. "Mr. Mitchell." Holt's voice echoed through the chamber as the chief deputy stepped into view. "I was hoping you'd come. You've saved me so much trouble." Cole calculated the odds. 3 men behind him, Holt in front, Maya in the grip of a 4th. "Let her go." "No," Holt smiled. "I don't think I will. You see, you've caused me a great deal of inconvenience. My men are nervous, my clients are asking questions, and my schedule is very, very tight." He gestured, and the men forced Cole and Maya down into the main chamber, shoving them to their knees in front of the terrified children. "Where's the sister?" Holt demanded. "Where's Emma?" "Gone," Cole said. "Miles away by now." Holt backhanded him across the face. Cole's head snapped to the side, but he didn't make a sound. "Don't lie to me. You wouldn't leave without her. You're not the type. You don't know anything about me." "I know enough." Holt pulled out his phone. "I know you served. I know you were discharged. I know you have PTSD and night terrors and a dog that follows you everywhere." He leaned close. "I know you're alone, Mitchell. No family, no friends. No one to miss you when you disappear. You're wrong about that." "Am I?" Cole met his eyes. "I have brothers. More than you could count. And they're coming for you right now." Holt laughed. "The feds, your DEA friend. I have people in Charleston who told me about your calls, Mitchell. Rivera's team has been delayed. Mechanical trouble with their vehicles. They won't be here until morning." He stood up. "By morning, there won't be anything left to find." He walked to the center of the chamber and addressed the children like they were an assembly. "Change of plans, everyone. We're moving up the schedule. Trucks arrive in 1 hour. Anyone who causes trouble gets left behind. And by left behind, I mean buried." One of the girls started crying. She couldn't have been older than 12. Cole strained against the arms holding him. "You're a monster." "I'm a businessman." Holt turned back to him. "Supply and demand, Mitchell. These kids, they're worth more than you could make in 10 lifetimes. The drugs are just a side hustle. This is the real money. And the VA supplies the morphine you've been stealing. Window dressing, something to keep the investigators busy while the real shipments move through." Holt crouched in front of Maya. "Your father figured it out, 6 years ago. He found the manifests traced the money. He was so close to blowing the whole thing open." Maya's face was white. "You killed him." "I removed an obstacle." Holt stood. "Just like I'm about to remove you." He pulled his pistol from its holster and pressed it against Maya's forehead. Cole lunged, but the men holding him were too strong. "Last chance, Mitchell. Where's Emma?" Cole's mind raced. If he told the truth, Holt would send men to find her. If he lied, Holt would kill Maya. "She's at the church," Holt smiled. "Good boy," he lowered the gun. "Send a team. Bring her here." "No," Maya screamed. "You promised? You said if I cooperated?" "I lied," Holt shrugged. "I do that." He holstered his weapon and walked toward the exit. "Burn it," he called over his shoulder. "Everything. The evidence, the witnesses, all of it. I want nothing left but ash." His men began dousing the crates with gasoline. Cole felt the grip on his arms loosen slightly as his captors reached for the jerry cans. It was the only opening he was going to get. He moved. Cole drove his elbow backward into the first man's solar plexus. The man doubled over gasping, and Cole was already spinning, using the momentum to break the grip of the second captor. A palm strike to the nose, cartilage crunched. The man went down screaming. The third man reached for his weapon. Cole was faster. He stripped the gun from the holster before the man could draw, reversed it, and brought the butt down hard on the back of his skull. 3 men. 4 seconds. "Maya, move!" She was already running toward the children, her hands working frantically at the zip ties binding the nearest girl. "I can't get them off." Cole tossed her his knife. "Cut them. Get them to the ventilation shaft. Go." The gasoline was spreading across the floor. One of Holt's men was fumbling with a lighter, hands shaking. Cole crossed the distance in 3 strides, his fist connected with the man's jaw before the flame could catch. The lighter skittered across the concrete into a puddle of water. "Everyone up," Maya shouted at the children. "Follow me now!" The teenagers stumbled to their feet, crying, terrified, but moving. Maya grabbed the youngest, a girl who couldn't have been more than 11, and lifted her into her arms. "Cole, there are too many. I can't carry them all. You don't have to." A bark split the air. Thor burst through the ventilation shaft like a missile, 90 pounds of fur and fury launching into the chamber. Behind him, scrambling on hands and knees, came Emma. "Emma!" Maya screamed. "What are you doing here? Thor wouldn't stay. He kept pulling at the door, and I couldn't stop him, and—" Emma's eyes went wide as she saw the children. "Oh God. Oh God, Maya." "Help your sister," Cole ordered. "Get them out, all of them." Thor positioned himself between the children and the remaining guards, his growl a wall of sound that froze every man in place. Cole grabbed one of the fallen men's radios. "Holt, Holt, can you hear me?" Static. Then that cold, familiar voice. "You're resourceful, Mitchell. I'll give you that. Your men are down. The children are being evacuated. It's over. Nothing is over until I say it is." The chamber's main doors burst open. Holt stood in the entrance with 6 more men, all armed, all pointing their weapons at the tunnel where Maya was herding the last of the children toward the ventilation shaft. "Nobody moves," Holt said calmly. "The next person who takes a step dies." Cole stepped in front of Thor, putting himself between the guns and the children. "Let them go, Holt. They're kids. Whatever happens between us, they don't deserve this." "Deserve?" Holt laughed. "You think this is about what people deserve? This is about money, Mitchell. Those children are worth $200,000 each. Do you know how much that adds up to? More than this entire town is worth. More than your life. More than everyone in this room combined." "Then take me. Let them go and take me." "Cole, no." Maya's voice cracked. "I'm the one who humiliated you. I'm the one who's been causing problems. They're just collateral." Cole took a step forward, hands raised. "You want revenge? Here I am." Holt's eyes narrowed. "You'd trade your life for strangers' children in a heartbeat." Something flickered across Holt's face. Confusion, maybe, or recognition of something he had lost so long ago he couldn't remember what it felt like. Then the moment passed, and the cruelty returned. "Very noble, but I think I'll take all of you." He raised his weapon. The world exploded in light, not from the guns, from outside. A wall of brightness that poured through the windows, through the cracks in the doors, turning the darkness into blazing day. Horns, dozens of them. A cacophony of sound that shook the walls. Holt spun toward the entrance. "What the hell?" Cole didn't hesitate. He tackled Holt from behind, driving him to the ground. The gun flew from Holt's hand, spinning across the concrete. "Thor, guard." The dog lunged not at Holt, but at the armed men. He didn't bite. He didn't need to. His presence alone, teeth bared, muscles coiled, was enough to make them hesitate. That hesitation was all Cole needed. He grabbed Holt's gun and rolled to his feet, putting himself between the children and the remaining guards. "Drop your weapons now." The men looked at each other. They looked at their boss, pinned to the floor with a seal's boot on his chest. They looked at the wall of light pouring through the windows. One by one, the guns clattered to the ground. Maya rushed past Cole, herding the last of the children toward the door. "Cole, what's happening out there?" "I don't know, but we're about to find out." He grabbed Holt by the collar and dragged him toward the entrance. The sight that greeted them defied belief. The parking lot of the abandoned mine was filled with vehicles. Pickup trucks, sedans, minivans, construction equipment, fishing boats on trailers. Every headlight, every fog lamp, every mounted spotlight was aimed at the building, and standing in front of them, forming a human wall, were the people of Willow Falls. Old Man Tucker was there, leaning on a cane, but standing tall. The Henderson family still in their dinner clothes. Pastor Williams holding a Bible like a shield. Sam Chen from the hardware store with a baseball bat over his shoulder. Mrs. Patterson with her rolling pin. And in the center of them all, wheelchair pushed to the front of the line, was Maya's grandmother. "That's my granddaughter's in there," the old woman shouted, her voice stronger than it had been in years. "You let them go, Marcus Holt. You let them go right now." Holt stared at the crowd, his face cycling through shock rage and something that looked almost like fear. "What is this? This," Cole said quietly, "is a community, something you forgot existed." The crowd parted as Maya emerged from the mine, leading a line of terrified children. Emma was right behind her, carrying the youngest girl. A cry went up from the townspeople. Parents rushed forward, recognizing faces, calling names. The children scattered into arms that had been searching for them for days, weeks, months. "Mama!" The little girl in Emma's arms screamed, reaching toward a woman who was pushing through the crowd. "Mama!" The reunion hit Cole like a physical blow. He had seen a lot of things in his career, a lot of death, a lot of pain. But this moment, these children running to their families, was something else entirely. It was why he had fought, why he had bled, why he had lost brothers and buried friends. For moments like this. "You think this changes anything?" Holt spat, struggling against Cole's grip. "I have connections you can't imagine. Judges, politicians. I'll be out before morning." "I don't think so." A new sound cut through the celebration. Sirens, not the local sheriff's department. Something bigger. 3 black SUVs tore into the parking lot, federal plates gleaming in the headlights. Behind them came 2 state police interceptors and a tactical van. Agent Mike Rivera stepped out of the lead vehicle, his windbreaker emblazoned with DEA in bold yellow letters. "Cole Mitchell!" Rivera walked toward them, taking in the scene with the practiced eye of a man who had seen everything. "You were supposed to wait for backup." "Got tired of waiting." Rivera looked at Holt, then at the mine, then at the children being reunited with their families. "Please tell me you have evidence." Cole reached into his pocket and pulled out his phone. "Photographs, manifests, GPS coordinates, enough to put him away for the rest of his life." Rivera took the phone, scrolling through the images. His face hardened with each swipe. "Human trafficking, drug distribution, VA theft." He looked up at Holt. "Chief Deputy Marcus Holt, you are under arrest. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law." 2 federal agents moved in, replacing Cole's grip with handcuffs. "This isn't over," Holt screamed as they dragged him toward the transport van. "I have friends, I have power. You can't do this to me." "Actually," Rivera said calmly, "we can. Your friends in Charleston. We arrested them 2 hours ago. Your offshore accounts frozen. Your political connections currently being interviewed by the FBI. He smiled without warmth. "You're alone, Holt, just like you made everyone else feel." The van doors slammed shut, cutting off Holt's screams. Cole felt his legs begin to shake. The adrenaline that had been sustaining him for the past 48 hours was draining away, leaving nothing but exhaustion. Cole! Maya ran toward him, Emma close behind. They crashed into him together, wrapping their arms around him, and for a moment Cole forgot how to breathe. "You did it," Maya whispered into his shoulder. "You saved them. You saved all of them. We did it. All of us." Thor pushed between them, demanding attention, and Emma laughed, kneeling to hug the dog who had become her protector. "Good boy," she said. Good boy." Rivera approached the group, his expression softer than before. "The children are being transported to the county hospital for evaluation. Most of them are local, taken over the past few months. A few are from out of state. We'll work with their families to get them home." "How did this go on so long?" Maya asked, her voice cracking. "How did no one notice?" "They noticed." Rivera's voice was grim. But Holt controlled the narrative. Missing persons reports got lost. Investigations got buried. Anyone who asked too many questions found themselves on the wrong side of a traffic stop. "My father asked questions." Rivera nodded slowly. "We're reopening that case. Based on what we've found here tonight, I suspect the mine collapse wasn't an accident." Maya closed her eyes, tears streaming down her face. Cole pulled her closer. "We'll find the truth," he promised. "Whatever it takes." The next few hours passed in a blur of statements, interviews, and documentation. Federal agents swarmed the mine, emerging with crates of evidence that would take months to process. State police secured the perimeter, while EMTs checked each of the rescued children. Cole gave his statement 3 times to 3 different agencies. Each time he told the same story. Each time he left out the parts that made him sound like a hero. By the time the sun began to rise, the parking lot had emptied of vehicles, but filled with news vans. Word had spread fast. A story like this couldn't be contained. Rivera found Cole sitting on the tailgate of his truck, Thor at his feet, watching the sunrise paint the mountains gold. "You should get some sleep." "Can't." Cole didn't look away from the horizon. "Every time I close my eyes, I see those kids in that chamber. They're safe now. Because of you. Because of everyone. I just happened to be in the right place." Rivera sat beside him. "I've known you for 10 years, Cole. You've never just happened to be anywhere. You go where you're needed." Cole was silent for a long moment. "What happens now?" he finally asked. "Now the investigation. The trials. It's going to be a long road. Holt had his fingers in everything. We're looking at years of work to untangle this mess." Rivera paused. "There's going to be media attention. A lot of it. These kids, this town you. Everyone's going to want the story. I don't want attention. I know. But Maya's going to need support. This community is going to need help rebuilding. And those children are going to need someone to speak for them." Rivera looked at him. "You don't have to stay. Your leave is almost up. You could walk away, go back to the teams, forget any of this ever happened." Cole watched the sun climb higher, burning away the last of the night's shadows. "Can I ask you something? Anything? How do you know when it's time to stop fighting?" Rivera considered the question. "I don't think you ever stop fighting. You just choose different battles. The question isn't whether to fight. It's what you're fighting for." Cole looked back toward the farmhouse where Maya and Emma were standing on the porch with their grandmother. The old woman was crying, but they were happy tears. Tears of relief. Tears of gratitude. "I think I know what I'm fighting for now," Cole said quietly. Rivera smiled. "Then I think you have your answer." He stood up, extending his hand. Cole took it. "Take care of yourself, Lieutenant. And take care of them." They're lucky to have you. I'm the lucky one. Rivera walked back to his SUV, leaving Cole alone with his dog and his thoughts. Thor whined softly, pushing his nose into Cole's hand. I know, buddy. I know. He climbed off the tailgate and walked toward the farmhouse. Maya met him halfway, her face still streaked with dried tears, but her eyes clear. They're saying it's going to be on the national news, she said. They're calling it the biggest trafficking bust in West Virginia history. How are you feeling? Exhausted? Terrified? Relieved? She laughed weakly. All of the above. And your grandmother, stronger than she's been in months. She keeps saying this is the first time in 6 years she hasn't been afraid. Maya's voice cracked. Cole, I don't know how to thank you. You don't have to, but I do. You risked everything, your life, your career, everything, for people you didn't even know. Cole reached out gently, taking her hand. I know you now. Maya looked up at him, and something passed between them that didn't need words. What happens next? She whispered. I don't know. My leave ends in 2 weeks. After that, I'm supposed to report back for assignment. Oh. The word carried the weight of all the things she wanted to say but couldn't. But I was thinking. Cole squeezed her hand. Maybe I don't have to go back. Maybe there's something else I'm supposed to be doing. Like what? Like helping a town rebuild. Like being there when the nightmares come. Like making sure that what happened here never happens again. Maya's breath caught. Cole, you can't give up your career for us. I'm not giving up anything. I'm choosing something better. He looked at Thor, then at the farmhouse, then at the mountains rising in the distance. I spent 15 years fighting other people's wars. Maybe it's time I found something worth fighting for at home. Emma appeared on the porch, waving frantically. Maya, Cole Grandma says breakfast is ready. Maya laughed through her tears. She's been through a kidnapping attempt and a federal raid, and she's making breakfast. She's a survivor, runs in the family. They walked toward the house together, Thor padding alongside them. At the door, Cole paused. Maya, yes, I don't know what the future holds. I don't know if I can be what you need, but I know one thing. What's that? Cole looked at her, and for the first time since Afghanistan, his eyes held something other than shadows. I'm not going anywhere. Inside, the smell of bacon and coffee filled the kitchen. Emma was setting the table while her grandmother worked the stove with the determination of a woman who had survived worse than sheriff's deputies and federal raids. Sit down, young man, the grandmother ordered, pointing her spatula at Cole. You look like you haven't eaten in days. I haven't. Then it's a good thing I made extra. Thor settled into his spot by the door, alert but relaxed. He had found his post. His mission. Cole sat at the table, Maya beside him, Emma across from them. The grandmother served heaping plates of eggs and bacon and toast. It was the most beautiful meal Cole had ever seen. Grace first, the grandmother said firmly. They bowed their heads. Dear Lord, we thank you for this food. We thank you for this family. And we thank you for the stranger who walked into our lives and became something more. Her voice trembled. Watch over the children who were lost and are now found. Give strength to those who protected them, and help us remember that even in our darkest moments, we are never truly alone. Amen, they said together. Cole raised his head and found Maya watching him. She smiled. For the first time in years, he smiled back. The sun was fully up now, streaming through the kitchen windows, filling the room with warmth. Outside, the sounds of a town waking up drifted on the breeze. Cars starting, birds singing, life continuing. The war was over. The healing had begun. And somewhere in a federal detention facility 300 miles away, Marcus Holt sat in a cell watching his empire crumble, realizing too late that he had underestimated the one thing he never understood: the power of people who refuse to give up. 1 month changed everything. The first week brought the cameras. News vans from Charleston, from Pittsburgh, from as far as New York. They set up camp on Main Street, pointing their lenses at the diner, at the mine, at anyone who would talk. The story was too big to ignore. 12 children rescued, a corrupt chief deputy exposed, a small town that fought back. Maya refused every interview. "I don't want to be famous," she told the reporter from CNN, who had offered her a 6-figure exclusive. "I just want to live my life." Cole handled the media differently. He gave one statement brief and controlled, praising the federal agents, the townspeople, and the children's courage. He never mentioned his own role. When they asked about his military service, he walked away. The second week brought the trials. Not Holt's yet. That would take months. But his deputies, his accomplices, the men and women who had looked the other way while children disappeared. One by one, they faced the judge. One by one, they crumbled. Deputy Carter testified against his former boss in exchange for a reduced sentence. He wept on the stand, describing the threats Holt had made against his family, the compromises that had started small and grown monstrous. "I knew it was wrong," Carter said, his voice breaking. "But I was scared. I was so scared." Cole watched from the gallery, Maya beside him. When Carter's eyes found them, Cole gave a single nod. Not forgiveness, but acknowledgement. Some people were victims, too. The third week brought the rebuilding. The Mountain View Diner reopened under a new name. Maya had wanted to call it something simple, something that would help people forget. But the townspeople had other ideas. "The Guardian's Table," Old Man Tucker suggested at the town meeting. "Because that's what it's become. A place where people look out for each other." The vote was unanimous. Maya hung the new sign herself, standing on a ladder while Cole steadied the base. Emma watched from the sidewalk, Thor pressed against her legs. "It's crooked," Emma called out. "It's perfect," Maya corrected, stepping back to admire her work. Imperfections make things real. The fourth week brought the hardest conversation Cole had ever faced. His leave was ending. The Navy had sent 3 messages. His commanding officer had called twice. The world Cole had known for 15 years was waiting for him to return. He sat on the porch of the farmhouse, watching the sunset, Thor at his feet. Inside, he could hear Maya and Emma laughing about something. Their grandmother's voice joined in stronger every day. "You're thinking too loud." Maya appeared beside him, 2 cups of coffee in her hands. She sat down, passing him one. "How do you know I'm thinking?" "Because you get this look, like you're solving a puzzle that doesn't have an answer." Cole sipped his coffee, stalling. "My CO called again today." Maya's hands tightened around her cup. And they want me back. The teams need experienced operators. There's a situation developing overseas that requires my particular skill set." "So you're leaving?" It wasn't a question. Maya's voice was carefully neutral, the tone of someone who had learned not to expect things to last. Cole turned to face her. "I haven't decided yet." "What's there to decide? That's your life, Cole. That's who you are." "Maybe who I am is changing." Maya shook her head. Don't do that." "Do what?" "Make me hope." Her voice cracked. "I've spent 6 years learning not to hope. I watched my father hope, and it got him killed. I watched my mother hope, and it broke her heart. Hope is a luxury I can't afford." "Maya, you'll leave. Maybe not today. Maybe not next week. But eventually you'll hear that call and you'll go. Because that's what men like you do. You go where you're needed, and people like me get left behind. She stood up abruptly, coffee sloshing over the rim of her cup. I'm not your father, Cole said quietly. I'm not going to disappear. Everyone disappears eventually. She walked inside the screen door, banging shut behind her. Thor whined, pressing his nose against Cole's hand. I know, buddy. I know. The next morning, Cole was gone before sunrise. Maya found the note on the kitchen table. 2 words. Back soon. She crumpled it in her fist and threw it at the wall. Maya! Emma appeared in the doorway, still in her pajamas. Where's Cole? Gone. Gone where? I don't know. It doesn't matter. But it did matter. Maya spent the entire day telling herself it didn't matter, while her heart screamed otherwise. She worked the lunch rush at the diner. She helped Emma with her homework. She gave her grandmother her evening medication. She did everything she was supposed to do, and none of it mattered. At 9 o'clock, headlights swept across the front of the house. Maya was on the porch before the truck had stopped moving. Cole climbed out, and even in the darkness she could see something had changed. He moved differently, lighter, like a weight had been lifted. Where were you? She demanded. Charleston. Charleston. What's in Charleston? Cole walked toward her, pulling an envelope from his jacket pocket. This. Maya took it with trembling hands. Inside was a single sheet of paper, official letterhead, dense with military language. I don't understand. What is this, my discharge papers? Cole's voice was steady. Honorable. Effective immediately. Signed by my commanding officer this morning. Maya's breath caught. You left the Navy. I left the Navy. But why your career, your brothers, everything you've worked for? Everything I've worked for was about protecting people. Cole reached out, cupping her face in his hands. I finally realized I can do that right here. Cole, I'm not going anywhere, Maya. Not today. Not next week. Not ever. I know you're scared. I know hope feels dangerous, but I'm asking you to take a chance on me anyway. Maya's tears spilled over, running down her cheeks and over his fingers. What if it doesn't work? Then we'll figure it out together. But I'm done running. I'm done fighting other people's wars. I want to build something. Here. With you. She kissed him. It wasn't gentle. It wasn't cautious. It was the kiss of someone who had been holding their breath for months and finally remembered how to breathe. Thor barked, tail-wagging furiously, and Emma appeared on the porch, whooping with joy. Finally, she shouted. I've been waiting forever for this. Maya laughed through her tears. How long have you been watching? Long enough to know I was right. I told Grandma he wasn't leaving. She owes me $5. Inside the house, the grandmother's voice carried through the window. I heard that, and you're not getting my $5 until there's a ring on that finger. Cole pulled back, grinning. Your family is terrifying. You have no idea. The weeks that followed felt like a dream. Cole threw himself into the restoration of Willow Falls with the same intensity he had brought to his military career. He organized volunteer crews to clear the mine property. He worked with federal agencies to establish a memorial for the children who had been trafficked through the region over the years. He trained a neighborhood watch program that actually watched instead of looking the other way. But his most important project was closer to home. I want to build something, he told Maya one evening, spreading architectural drawings across the diner's counter. Here, on the land Holt wanted so badly. Maya studied the plans. What is this? A community center, youth programs, job training, a place where kids have somewhere to go after school so they're not vulnerable to the predators who would exploit them. Cole, this would cost hundreds of thousands of dollars. The VA is contributing. So is the DEA. They're calling it the Sullivan Center, after your father. Maya's hand flew to her mouth. What? He died trying to protect this community. His name should live on. Cole took her hand. If you'll allow it. Maya couldn't speak. The tears came before she could stop them. Is that a yes? Emma asked from behind the counter, where she had been eavesdropping with zero subtlety. Maya nodded, laughing and crying at the same time. Yes. Yes, it's a yes. The groundbreaking ceremony happened on a Saturday in late spring. The whole town turned out. The Henderson family. Old man Tucker leaning on his cane, but standing proud. Pastor Williams, who gave a blessing that made everyone cry. Sam Chen, who had organized the volunteer construction crew. Mrs. Patterson, who had baked enough pies to feed an army. Maya stood at the center of it all, holding a golden shovel Cole beside her. 6 years ago, she said, her voice carrying across the crowd. My father was murdered for asking questions, for trying to protect people, for believing that one person could make a difference. She paused, looking at the faces around her. Faces she had known her whole life. Faces that had been beaten down by poverty and corruption and fear. For a long time, I was angry. I was scared. I wanted to believe that nothing would ever change, that fighting was pointless, that people like Marcus Holt would always win. Her eyes found Cole's. He smiled, giving her strength. But then a stranger walked into my diner. A man with a dog and a wounded heart and more courage than he knew what to do with. And he reminded me of something my father used to say. Her voice grew stronger. The only thing necessary for evil to triumph is for good people to do nothing. Well, we did something. All of us. Together. And today, we're building something that will stand for generations. A monument to courage. A testament to community. A promise that we will never look the other way again. She drove the shovel into the earth. The crowd erupted in cheers. That night, Maya found Cole standing in front of the farmhouse looking at the stars. You okay? She asked. Just thinking. About what? About how strange life is. 3 months ago, I was a ghost. Wandering. No purpose, no direction, just me and Thor and a lot of bad memories. Thor, hearing his name, lifted his head from his spot on the porch. And now, Cole turned to her. Now I have something worth living for. Maya took his hand. You know, my grandmother keeps asking when you're going to make an honest woman out of me. Your grandmother is very direct. It runs in the family. Cole laughed. I've noticed. They stood in comfortable silence, watching the stars wheel overhead. Cole, yeah, thank you. For what? For staying, for fighting, for believing in us when we didn't believe in ourselves. Cole pulled her close. Thank you for letting me. That first day in the diner when you brought Thor those bacon scraps, you saved my life. You just didn't know it yet. I think he saved all of us. They looked at Thor, who had resumed snoring, his paws twitching in some dream of better days. He's getting old, Cole said quietly. I know. The vet says his hips are getting worse. He can't run like he used to. Maya felt a lump forming in her throat. He's happy, though. Anyone can see that. He is. Happier than I've ever seen him. Cole paused. I've been thinking about what happens when I can't take care of him the way he deserves. What do you mean? I mean that dog spent 6 years running through deserts, dodging bullets, saving lives. He deserves a soft bed and a warm fire, and people who love him. He has all of that. He has all of that here. Cole turned to face her fully. If something ever happens to me, I need to know he'll be taken care of. I need to know he'll have a home. Maya's eyes filled with tears. Cole, nothing's going to happen to you. I spent 15 years learning that anything can happen, and I need to know that the people I love will be okay." The word hung in the air between them. Love. "Did you just— I love you, Maya Sullivan." Cole's voice was rough with emotion. "I love your sister and your grandmother, and this crazy town that decided to fight back. I love this life we're building, and I need you to know that no matter what happens, you are my home now. You and Emma and Thor, that's my family." Maya threw her arms around him, holding on like she would never let go. "I love you too," she whispered. "I've loved you since the moment you stood up to Holt, since the moment you looked at me like I was worth protecting. You are worth protecting. You're worth everything." They held each other under the stars while Thor dreamed at their feet and the mountains stood sentinel around them. 3 months later, the Sullivan Center opened its doors. The ceremony was smaller than the groundbreaking but somehow more meaningful. The families of the rescued children were there, federal agents who had worked the case, reporters who had become invested in the town's story, and in the front row in a place of honor sat the photograph of James Sullivan, Maya's father, the man who had started it all. "Daddy would have loved this," Emma whispered. "He's here," their grandmother said firmly. "He's watching. I'm sure of it." Cole gave the opening remarks. He spoke about courage and community and the power of refusing to look the other way. He spoke about the veterans who would be served by the center's programs. He spoke about the children who would find safety within its walls. But his final words were for Maya alone. "This center exists because one woman refused to give up. Because she stood in a diner and told a tyrant no. Because she believed that her father's death meant something. Maya Sullivan taught me that the greatest battles aren't fought with weapons. They're fought with love, with persistence, with the refusal to accept that evil is inevitable." He looked at her, and his voice softened. "She taught me how to live again. And for that I will spend the rest of my life trying to be worthy of her." Maya was crying. So was Emma. So was half the audience. After the ceremony, the crowd dispersed into the center, exploring the facilities, admiring the photographs, sharing stories. Cole found Maya standing in front of her father's memorial Thor at her side. "Hey." She turned, wiping her eyes. "Hey yourself. How are you doing?" She laughed, shaking her head. "I'm happy. Actually happy. I didn't think I remembered how that felt. You deserve it. We deserve it. All of us." She looked down at Thor, who was watching them with ancient, knowing eyes. "Especially him." Cole knelt beside his dog, scratching behind the ears the way Thor loved. "You did good, old friend. You did so good." Thor's tail wagged slowly. His eyes were cloudy now, his muzzle completely gray. But there was still fire in there, still the warrior who had saved lives on 2 continents. "He knows," Maya said softly. "He knows he's home." "Yeah," Cole's voice was thick. "He does." And that night they had dinner at the farmhouse, all of them together. Maya and Cole and Emma and grandmother. Pastor Williams stopped by with fresh bread. Old Man Tucker brought a bottle of wine he had been saving for a special occasion. They ate and laughed and told stories. They remembered the fear and celebrated its passing. They honored the dead and embraced the living. And when the night grew late and the guests went home, Cole and Maya sat on the porch one last time. Thor was asleep at their feet. Emma was upstairs exhausted from the day's excitement. Grandmother had retired early, claiming her old bones needed rest. The stars were brilliant overhead, more than Cole could ever remember seeing. "I have something for you," Maya said suddenly. She reached into her pocket and pulled out a small velvet box. Cole stared at it. "Maya, don't look at me like that. I know it's supposed to be the other way around. but I've spent my whole life waiting for things to happen. I'm done waiting." She opened the box. Inside was a simple ring, silver unadorned. "It was my grandfather's. Grandma wanted me to have it. She said anyone brave enough to stand up to Marcus Holt deserves to be part of this family officially." Cole took the ring, holding it up to the starlight. "Are you asking me to marry you? I'm asking you to stay forever. I'm asking you to build a life with me. I'm asking you to let me love you for the rest of our lives." Cole slipped the ring onto his finger. It fit perfectly. "Yes," he said simply. Maya kissed him long and deep, while Thor slept, and the stars burned, and the mountains kept their ancient watch. She had walked through fire. She had faced monsters. She had lost everything and found something better. And now finally, she was home. If this story touched your heart, if you believe in the power of courage and the strength of community, please take a moment to like this video and share it with someone who needs a reminder that good people still exist. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon so you never miss a story that inspires. Tell us in the comments, have you ever witnessed a moment when a stranger became a hero? When someone stood up for what was right, even when it was dangerous? Share your story with us. We would love to hear it. Dear God, I pray for everyone watching this video right now. I ask that you give them strength when they feel weak, courage when they feel afraid, hope when they feel lost. Remind them that they are never alone, that there are good people in this world who will stand up for them, that love is stronger than fear, and that community is stronger than cruelty. Protect the innocent, strengthen the righteous, and help us all remember that even in our darkest moments, light is always waiting to break through. If you receive this blessing and believe in the power of standing up for others, please type Amen in the comments below. May you walk in peace. May you find your guardian. And may you always, always find your way home. God bless you.